Today we're looking at a parable, and it's a story of a landowner, a vineyard owner, who is ready to harvest. So he goes into the town to get workers, and they agree on the regular daily wage of denarius. And then they come and they work. And about midday, the landowner realizes that he needs more staff, more people to work his field. So he goes out again and brings in more, and again and again. And the last time he goes out, he looks at the people in the around the well, which is where they usually would hang out, looking for people to come and get them. And they said, he says, "Why have you not come to work before? Why are you not working at all?" And they said, "Because no one's asked us." So he comes, tells them to come. They agree on the daily wage, and they work for only an hour. And then it comes to the end of the day, and the tradition at the time was you got paid that very day. There were no banks that we understand it, no employees as we understand them today. So they were paid for their labors for the day. And they each got a denarius, and they took off to do whatever. And the group who was there the longest thought that, well, if these folks who are here for an hour are getting a daily wage, then I must be getting more. And it came time to them being paid, and they weren't paid more. They were paid the same. And they got really resentful about that. And it's something, we can really relate to, especially those who are women can relate to not being paid for the same work we do that a lot of men get paid for. That's documented. That's a real issue. And white people are getting paid more than people of color are getting paid. The honesty and fairness in salaries is something that our society is really tied into. And we've realized with COVID and with everything else that it's the workers that run the economy. It's not the millionaires who sit back and pay little or pay generously, maybe like this vineyard owner did, but on their terms, not on the workers' terms. So you can understand the power of resentment. It's easy to tap into. But the landowner looks at them and says, "Why are you upset about my generosity?" And Jesus uses this as a story of the kingdom of heaven, that the landowner is able to give, that those who are last to hear about God's message are equal to a full share, just like those who got on board in the beginning. And that it didn't matter how much work you put into bringing in the kingdom, that those who came later had the same share, had the same, received the same pay. But that's not what I want to focus on today, because there's a line that I think gets lost oftentimes. It's when the landowner goes out to the last group of people and says, "Why are you not working?" And they say, "Because no one has asked us." No one has asked them. Our churches, our communities, our social experiences. And none of that is even more prevalent than right now as the churches are starting to open up and people want to get together again. It's what was missed. But see, the church is not just a social experience. The church is something where we're supposed to go out and share this kingdom with other people. And if we don't ask, then how are they going to know? If we don't go and tell them, how are they not going to believe the myths and the stories and the mistaken truths that society tells them? If we don't go out and invite them, how do they know that they're welcome? And this is a problem, especially in our modern churches in the Western world, is that we don't ask people to come. Or if we do, we hedge it. And we apologize and saying, "I'm not sure this is working for you," or "This is really kind of cool, maybe you want to try it." We don't go and say, "You know what? We got something really interesting that I think that might be something that you want to hear." And then we don't take it the next step. We don't bring these people in and then give them experience worthy of our boasting. We just do the same old, the thing that made us comfortable, maybe the thing that we grew up with sitting on grandma's lap. We don't try to make the church acceptable to others any more than we go and bring them into something new. The kingdom of heaven is not just about God's generosity to those who've been there the longest and those who are just showing up. The kingdom of heaven is a mutual built reality. Jesus came to ask for helpers. He didn't ask for an audience. He asked for people to work, and he asked for people to have the burden and have the pain and have the family separation and have the joy and the expectation that comes with building the kingdom. It wasn't just about sitting in churches and seeing people that we know and feeling comfortable because we grew up here or we have friends here. It's so much more than that. God asks us through this parable, why are we not working? God asks us through this parable that the first and the last shall be treated equally. That we don't get to tell other people how it's done or how they're going to experience church. And these are really, really hard messages if you are so steeped in the tradition of your own experience that you're not willing to toss that aside to build something with someone else. Our churches are struggling right now. Clergy are leaving because COVID has taken away their favorite part of ministry, which is pastoral work. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be that way. And it doesn't have to be that we're just in our churches. It doesn't have to be counting numbers of who can sit in the pews. It doesn't have to be worried that we have the right hand sanitizer and something else to protect us. The church is not just a building. The church is the people and the encounters. There's absolutely nothing stopping any of us from talking to folks and saying, I think this is something that might work for you. And have church with them, have community with them, show them the kingdom. It doesn't just have to be going a Sunday morning and hearing someone with the professional understanding of Gospels speak about what the kingdom can be, because that's a limited. We're the ones that got there first. We can't possibly understand what it is like to be the ones that just came at the last. But the people who came later can attest to what was going on, where the meaning is. The kingdom of heaven is the generosity of God and the workers who come in, who want to do something, who want to be the ones to receive the gifts that God has to give us. It's very, very easy to stay in the place of those first workers who showed up and worked all day and expected to be treated special. That's human nature, but that's not how God's world works. The people who come last are almost more important because it took a long time for them to get to the point to say, no one asked us. What is there? What are we going to get out of it? And those are questions that are so valid and that God wants to answer, but we have to be the ones to help make that happen.